Hey guys, this is SansCorpsTarot, and today I am back again with another pick a card reading. So this one is going to be all about your soulmate. So we're gonna get, who they are, about their personality, about, what your guys' relationship is like. It's supposed to be like a lighthearted, uplifting reading. So we have 3 groups for you today. These are new cards that I had gotten from it's called the Pure Magic Oracle deck, and I'm really excited about it. The cards are beautiful. So pile 1, we have Drawing Down the Sun. Pile 2, we have Florida Water. In pile 3, we have Opening Circle. Alright, so take your time, meditate on what you think the energy of your soulmate is. Meditate on, who that soulmate is, and then go to whichever pile you think would have their energy. Are they like Drawing Down the Sun, Florida Water, or Opening Circle? And you can use, the imagery, use the words, whatever methods you guys use to pick your piles, but I will see you guys there. Hello, pile 1. So if you chose Drawing Down the Sun, this will be your pile, all about your soulmate. So I already have cards that I pre-selected because I thought I had the energy to do this reading a couple nights ago, but I only had the energy to pull the cards. So I have cards pre-selected for all of you guys. So first we have the Beloved and the Lovers from the Magdalene Oracle deck. And then we have Strength and the Page of Swords. So this is Emergent of Knives, but it's Page of Swords, so it's from the Magic Mundane Oracle deck. So we have those 2 cards, Strength clarified by the Page of Swords, and then we have the Ace of Wands and the Empress. So the Ace of Wands clarified by the Empress. And I don't take reversals, but I remember the Ace of Wands was a little reversed when I came out. And then I have some, fun apples to apples cards, because I love them. So we have, these are funny. So we have Feet, Seth Rogen. These are always so funny and random. Craft Beers, Bros, Tarot cards, which that was so awesome to see, honestly. Confusing, Brave, Mushy, Fast. And then I also pulled some, I also pulled some Cards Against Humanity's cards. So we have The Little Engine That Could, Puppies, Women's Suffrage, Child Beauty Pageants, Being Fabulous, Kanye West. And then I pulled some conversation cards, and these were meant to sort of give us an idea of what you guys bond over as soulmates. So do you have empathy for those who commit, do you have empathy for those who commit, trigger warning, for those who kill themselves, why or why not? Think of the 3 people you spend the most time with. What do they all have in common? Have you ever experienced a language or cultural barrier? How did you work through it? Okay, guys, so first let's just talk about Drawing Down the Sun. I'm sorry, I have like a new camera set up, so I keep holding the cards like way out of frame. So Drawing Down the Sun, Wildfire, Divine Masculine, Magnificence, Witness. So I do believe that this person probably has some sort of divine masculine energy to them, but it's not It's the type of masculine energy that's sort of not like, you know, stereotypical masculine energy. It's very much only like the spiritual type of masculine energy because, you know, it is like the sun. And so first and foremost, I'm getting just a lot of warmth from this person and this connection. And especially because we did have the Empress come out. And the Empress came out, and this is the Magic Mundane Tarot deck. So, you know, it uses references and imagery from day-to-day lives. And so the Empress came out, and it has like a bowl of spaghetti. And the little poem up here is like kind of talking about the bowl of spaghetti and just how, you know, how natural the tomatoes are born and just how like delicious and comforting it is. And so I think there is something like there's something very strong about this person, but also very delicate. And I don't think that it's actually like anything delicate, but I think that this person's just probably deeply emotionally aware. I think they're probably a pretty sensitive person, but they're pretty strong in that sensitivity. It seems like they have a very good, confident sense of self, at least when you guys, you know, meet each other or come into union. Because we have the Strength. And so this is interesting, the Strength card, because when I think of Strength card, I initially think of, you know, the Leo strong lion from the traditional tarot deck. But this has, you know, like a spider web, and then the little poem that it has talks about the sort of like unwavering and unexpected strength of spider webs because they're so delicate and they're invisible almost. You don't even know that they're there until you're up close. And you think that they're, you know, they look pretty weak and fragile, but they're very strong. And so that's sort of what this person is. I don't think, you know, actually, I will say that they may have an outward energy of just, I'm getting like they're a very probably affable personality. I think they get along with a lot of people. They're probably, you know, talkative or sociable. I'm getting honestly that they're probably not so, you know, loud and outgoing. They're probably not so obsessed with being the center of attention. But I think that they're just someone who, you know, takes attention as it comes. They're there for a good time. You know, they're not going to, you know, be loud and make a ruckus to make people look at them. But they're not going to really shy away when the attention is turned on them when they're doing something, you know, inevitably cool or impressive. Let me take a sip of coffee. So this is a very interesting person. They have a very, because yeah, the initial energy like outright was pretty strong, and pretty, you know, intense, but just intense in the like intensity of spirit. Like they seem like a very strong in themselves, very self-secured, which is always, you know, a pretty nice thing to have at times if you yourself struggle with confidence. So we have the Strength card being clarified by the Page of Swords. So this is someone who, yeah, they'll speak their mind. They'll speak up when they feel compelled to, but they're not going to, you know, if they have problematic opinions or not, okay, let me rephrase that. If they're around people with like really strong problematic opinions and this person like knows that these people are like just, you know, unable to be swayed or anything, I don't think that this person's really going to engage with them. I think that they're going to be, you know, they're going to be the bigger person in a lot of ways, and they're going to know when it's worth talking and worth like using their energy versus not. So I think that they would, you know, so let's just use extreme examples. If this person is like, you know, let's say that they're, you know, let's just say they're like a socialist, and then they're talking to like a Trump supporter, and you know, the Trump supporters that are like very unable to hear anything except for Trump rhetoric. And so this person, they won't even engage with the Trump supporter, but who they would engage with probably is like, you know, maybe the conservative Republican or the moderate person or something. They would engage with someone that they feel like they could get a real, you know, fruitful conversation out of. They are not going to engage just frivolously with other people. And that's sort of like the beautiful balance of their strength. So there's someone who they have a lot of strong opinions and a lot of belief in their self and belief in these opinions that they have. but they also know, they're confident enough in that to not have to defend it constantly to people who would not be willing to hear it, you know? So I know that sometimes, even with me, you know, if I have an opinion and someone else has another opinion, but it's an opinion that I am sort of a little faltering or wavering on, I know that I'll defend it like really aggressively to anyone, like any naysayers. And so I feel like this person, like they've taken the time to really curate the life, the inner life and the inner compass for themselves that is truly helpful in guiding them. And they're very comfortable and secure in that. And so they're just not going to waste their breath. And then we have Ace of Wands being clarified by the Empress, which is so beautiful because the Ace of Wands is all about, you know, action and making something happen. And I love what this Ace of Wands Mundane Magic Tarot deck says. It says potential energy becomes kinetic. I'm not sure if you guys are into science or physics or anything, but I did have to take physics classes growing up, and potential energy is basically, so when a ball is at the top of a hill, it has a lot of potential energy for being able to be rolled down the hill. When the ball is at the bottom of the hill, there's nowhere for it to go. If you let go, it'll just stay still. So there's no potential energy, but at the top of the hill, if you let go, the ball can roll all the way down the hill. So it has potential energy. And then when the ball actually does start to roll down the hill, that's called kinetic energy. The actual energy being expended is kinetic energy. So this is saying potential energy becomes kinetic. So all of the like built up energy that naturally exists where they are in life, they're able to sort of just spark it and turn it into kinetic and action it. They're able to not only have the potential, but they're able to actually see it through. And the Empress, the fact that the Empress clarifies that is just, you know, so reconfirming that, because this Ace of Wands was a little bit reversed at first. And I'm getting with that mostly that I think that probably their bigger struggle was in making things happen in the context of other people. So I think that now probably the reason why I've been stressing how secure in themselves they are is because that's something that they really had to take the time to learn. Because I think that they always had a lot of potential in them. They always had a lot of just, you know, they were able to make things happen for themselves. They could get the career they wanted, the job they wanted, the friends they wanted. They had a lot of that potential, but then I feel like in actually making it happen, they were when they were younger, I think that they were a little sensitive to the people around them, you know, critiquing that. And so there's some energy of they sort of always knew what they wanted and knew who they were, but there was a time in their life where they were just insecure about that, in context of other people. And so it's not that they doubted that these were the things they wanted, but it's just they were a lot more sheepish to talk to other people about what they're doing, you know? So it could be, you know, maybe they have, like, for example, a tarot YouTube channel, but maybe they haven't told anyone about it, because they just like didn't want to open that can of worms in case there was anyone, you know, hating on them. But I think that that's something that for the most part they're getting out of, they've gotten themselves out of. But I think that is a little bit why they're still, you know, able to hold their breath so well, because I think it was a little bit of a struggle for them to ever really vocalize or assert their opinions and wants in the past. But that's definitely something that they've grown from, but something that just sort of a little follows them. And so we got, what should I focus on now? Well, focus on the Cards Against Humanity cards. So the Little Engine That Could and Puppies, those are adorable because those are two very similar energies to me. The Little Engine That Could and Puppies. Like the Little Engine That Could, I haven't read that in a while, probably since I was like 3. I couldn't read when I was 3, just kidding. But hold on, let me take a sip of coffee. Sorry guys, it's early in the morning, and I'm not used to talking this much early in the morning. But so the Little Engine That Could gives me energy of like Thomas the Tank Engine, like adorable little kid tank engine, just like chugging up a hill, just trying to do it, just doing the best they can, and you know, eventually they get over the hill. And it's an energy of, you know, like when your little cousin, like your little baby cousin, like gets up and walks for the first time, you're like, oh my gosh, you're so adorable, good job. So it's like, you know, it's not just a random kid or a random baby that you see and you're like, oh, look at that adorable baby walking. It's like someone that you have like real affectionate, almost like sort of parental protective feelings over, and they're finally doing something that, you know, they've been striving to do and that they've been working towards, and they finally do it. And I think, so that's beautiful. I think the energy that I was just getting into with that is, I think this is such a lovable person. I think that when they, especially when you guys, you know, are together, if you do come into union, I think that you guys will just be such wonderful, like, uplifting supports for one another. I feel like you guys are just going to absolutely adore whenever anyone, or whenever that other person succeeds or achieves something that they want to, because you're going to feel as if you were achieving something that you had sought out so hard to do. But it's almost like it's even better than that, you know? I feel like you guys are almost, this is a little bit of a tangent, but it's a beautiful energy, so I want to convey it to you. So, you know, when you're in a relationship with this soulmate, you know, whenever either of you guys have a win, the other is going to feel, it's going to be even better than if the other had won themselves, you know, how they feel. So if person A, you know, gets the dream job that they've been striving for all their life, person B is going to have like basically like the happiness and excitement as if they were the one who got their dream job, but coupled with just like the pride of person A and their absolute love and adoration for them and knowing that they deserve it. So it's going to be like, it's going to bring even more warmth into person B's life because person A achieved this thing than if person B were the one to achieve that thing. I hope it makes sense. But it is like just such a beautiful, it's like just like the utmost empathy, but like of the most lovable variety, you know? It's like whenever anything goes right for the other person, it feels like it's going right for you, and it just makes you so giddy and happy and appreciative of life because you're like, this person that I love the most, that is so wholesome and deserving, they're getting exactly what they deserve. Life is beautiful, life is fair, everything is awesome, good. And I know that that's like a gross, you know, reduction of life's complexities, but you know, that's how you're gonna feel when the other person wins. But okay, that was a little tangent just because that was adorable. And you know, if I was watching this reading, I'd want to know a little bit about that. But so yeah, that's a little bit about your relationship. So with the little engine that could, though, I'm getting that I think that this is about stuff, you know, with their confidence. And so I think that it is like, yeah, a fairly new confidence, or it's not a fairly new confidence that they have in themselves, but it's a fairly new process for them to actually be, you know, going out and making the action happen, you know, turning the potential into kinetic. So, you know, when Thomas the Tank Engine's at the bottom of the hill, he's at the bottom of the hill, so technically he does not have any potential energy, but he does have some sort of potential energy because he has like an engine that can take him up the hill. So science technicalities aside, at the bottom of the hill, Thomas has a lot of potential energy to get up the hill, but he's a little nervous about getting up the hill. And so, you know, but now, you know, during this reading, or where your soulmate will be when you guys meet each other, I think that they'll be at the top of the hill, you know? They finally gained the confidence to try and do the things that they knew they were capable of, but the things that they were a little insecure about doing in front of other people. And so now they're starting to really step into that. And so I think before it could have been they did a lot of things in secret. Maybe they had a lot of secret hobbies, maybe they had like a secret career passion, like almost just they simply didn't open themselves up to criticism a lot, and so they kept a lot inside. And so even if they were social, which I think they are, and they talked to a lot of people, had friends and everything, I think that simply those friends just didn't really know these things about them because this person never brought them up, and they purposely concealed them from them. So this is another silly example from my childhood. I was obsessed with like the Mortal Instruments, and so like super obsessed with it. And so, you know, maybe this person, they could have been obsessed with Mortal Instruments, but maybe they were a little embarrassed about that. And so I was like so obsessed with it. It was like a huge part of my life for like 3 or 4 years. And so maybe this person, like for 3 or 4 years, this person was just like constantly reading the Mortal Instruments, constantly keeping up with the gossip, and, you know, the TV, movie franchises and everything. And, you know, just none of their friends even know that this was anything they were into. But now, when you meet them, they're finally in the stage of their life where they will just simply have these interests, do them when they want, and ignore any people looking in who have anything negative to say. So, like, I feel like now these days, whereas before this person would watch the Mortal Instruments in secret or read the book in secret, I think that now this person would read the book, you know, in front of the friends. When all the friends are hanging out, they'd whip out this book and start reading when other people are reading their books, you know? Whereas before, I think that this person would instead whip out a book that they think their friends would, you know, jive with in when they all hung out together, you know, just to sort of save face almost. Or not even save face, but it's mostly giving me the energy of they just simply did not want to feel othered. They did not want to deal with saying, yes, I have an interest that is different from yours. They just didn't feel like feeling any potential negativity from it. And yeah, and it's not like about they don't like attention, but I think there could be something, you know, deep-rooted in their childhood where maybe their parents were very judgmental or, you know, harsh critics of them. So I think that they just simply, they would have rather not given the people around them reason to other them or alienate them or make them feel like they were different in any way. And so then we have, you know, these cards were so interesting. Child beauty pageants, being fabulous, and Kanye West. Those were interesting because they were all sort of very similar energies to me. So Kanye West, of course, he's like the one who's like, oh, I'm... like, he's very obsessed with the fact that he is fabulous, or he's very obsessed with, you know, feeling like he is fabulous. And then child beauty pageants, that almost reminds me of like, gosh, what's it called? Toddlers with Tiaras? And I'm not kidding, Toddlers and Tiaras doesn't have such a different energy from Kanye West. So I'm feeling like, let's see. Oh yeah, this person, yeah, so I think this person just in childhood, this relates so perfectly to what I was just saying. This person, I believe, in childhood, yeah, I think that their parents could have been harsh critics, or just the people around them. I feel like they very much had, you know, one way of living and one way of expecting their kids and people in their family to live. And so I think that they're, you know, maybe they were, I mean, not to take these cards too literally, but maybe they were, you know, a very attractive child, and that's such a weird thing to say. I mean, you know, just like one of the stereotypically like cute kids that you can dress up and put in a beauty pageant. So maybe they were like a kid who's like, their parents really dwelled on their looks or something. And, you know, and so maybe they put them, okay, hold on, let me rephrase this better. So this is giving me the energy that the parents and the families around them just may have sort of like imposed a personality and traits and characteristics onto this person when they were younger. And I think this person kind of knew that these weren't things that were naturally aligned with them, but they didn't want to say no to the family. They just sort of let it come as it came. And they just sort of, that's sort of where this secret energy sort of sprouted from, you know, they just sort of, their family imposed on them. Maybe their family put them in beauty pageants when they were younger, and they were like, yeah, I don't like beauty pageants, I'm not into this, but I am really into reading, and so I'll go home and I'll read for hours after my beauty pageant. And so it's like they had almost like a secret little life that they led to cope with the life that their family sort of like herded them to lead. So yeah, it's like this person's family probably imposed a personality and stuff onto them that they weren't aligned with, and so they sort of had to, they didn't want to, I mean, it was almost something they were born into, you know, they were raised to have a different personality and different traits and different interests and hobbies, because those were the things that the people around them, their family liked. And so I think that, yeah, they didn't want to have to verbalize to their family that they were different, because it was almost like they were too far gone, they were too far into it, and that was the only way they had lived, the only way they had grown up. Their parents had always put them in beauty pageants. It was the thing that their family did. There was no saying no. No one played sports in their family. They only did beauty pageants. And so maybe this person, the soulmate, they loved sports, and so after their beauty pageants, maybe they just like played basketball by themselves in their room or something, on the wall. And so they just, yeah, they had to develop sort of like a secret life to cope with the inability to control things in their actual life. And also because they're not, they're a strong person, they have opinions and beliefs and a sense of self, but I don't think that they like to rock the boat that much. That's why they're not going to engage with a Trump supporter. That's why they'll engage only with a moderate, because, they don't want to get into big explosive fights or arguments. They don't want to upset people. And so I think that it was just sort of easier to go with the flow when they were younger. But it's interesting because I think that also the upbringing, they still did get like a lot of sense of confidence in themselves. And so I think that, whatever it is that their parents still sort of tried to make their personality, I think that it was still parts of this person's personality. It just wasn't the whole thing. So maybe this person, like, maybe they actually could have been into beauty pageants if they were the ones to elect to be in them, but they weren't really into them when their parents made it their whole life and, their career or something. Maybe they would have been into it mostly for the aspect of, getting to know other people and trying to, further your, I don't know, like network or something. Maybe they would have been into it because of that, but they weren't into it to the extent that their family almost forced them to be into it. And it could have been like a lot of things. And honestly, I'm getting for most of you, it's just in general like a lifestyle. Like I feel like this person's family probably made them, maybe they made them study really hard or study different subjects than they were actually interested in, or they signed them up for sports, or they just almost like gave them a personality and gave them interests that were not so naturally or they were naturally in this person, but they weren't the naturally dominant energies in this person, this person's parents signed them up for art classes when actually they wanted to be signed up for soccer. And so let's move on to the apples to apples cards. So we have Feet, Seth Rogen, Craft Beers, Bros, and Tarot cards. So honestly, for Feet, Seth Rogen, Craft Beers, and Bros, those are all like the same energy to me. So feet, actually, like first, like what I get is like just the fact, like silly little feet. Honestly, what I get initially with that card is like foot fetish. And I don't think it's probably actually because of foot fetish, but you know how people almost like stigmatize foot fetishes? I think that that's sort of the energy of this, I think that this person's being a little silly and goofy and like talking about foot fetishes. Not in a way to make fun of them, but like in a way to be like playful. So I think that definitely some sort of like experimenting sexually could definitely be part of your guys' connection, and something that is a little almost like silly for you guys. Something that's sort of fun and lighthearted, like the sex in your relationship. But so Seth Rogen, Craft Beers, and Bros, yeah, this person's gonna be, it's also giving me the energy of like the clown, the class clown who sort of uses like the humor to cover up some of their darker things. So whereas I'm feeling like this person really is the sun, they really are very warm, but I feel like also, with this secret life that they had, before when they were younger, I think that it was something like they made their personality such that they wouldn't be questioned about what they do. So that was vague, let me clarify. So maybe they were pretty popular, maybe they were the popular person. And so because of that popularity, they used that to almost not even be able to they used that as like a front to then go back and, read the mortal instruments all by themselves. They used their popularity, as like a guard. And so that, it's not saying that they actually did have to be popular. Conversely, they could have been like a dork, and they used, the dork was like the personality that the parents gave them or something. And so maybe they used that sort of like dorky personality to, and then they hid behind it to sort of have like have a depth to them that was different from a dork, you know? So if their parents gave them, you know, this dorky personality in their upbringing, I think that they had a secret side to them that was like a jock, versus, you know, alternately, I think if this person was raised to be very much like a jock, I think that they had some sort of dorky energy to them. But there is some sort of, like a wall, a disconnect between how they did present themselves to people versus how they actually existed when they were all alone. But then also like tarot cards, so I think that they're a deeply spiritual person. They're deeply thoughtful. I would be hard pressed to think that they have real like spiritual practices, but I think that they're very thoughtful. They're very much in their head. I think that in these moments where they like break off and lived in their own little bubble where they could actually be themselves, I think that that was very meaningful and very insular for them. And so I think that it caused them to have a very deep bond with themselves. And honestly, like, you know, their spirit guides, I don't know if they are very blatantly aware of spirituality, but I think that how much time that they've spent in like with themselves doing the things that they love, even if it was in secrecy from the people around them, that time was so sacred to them. It really did help build their confidence in themselves and their sense of security and their connection with their spirit guides and higher selves. You know, so even if this person did have to wait you know, until after their beauty pageant, and then come home and read the mortal instruments, it's like while they were reading the mortal instruments, they were just filled with so much pure joy and elation that they were like, oh, this is exactly, like, I don't care about, you know, what my parents say, I'm always still gonna just read this book, like, I don't care what they make me do. This is such a wonderful series. Yeah. And I think that you probably will help them almost like put a name to this spirituality, you know, that you'll help them put it into words. Whereas I feel like right now and in this person's childhood, I feel like it's mostly just like a little feeling, mostly, like, you know, they know that they feel connected to different things and themselves in that way, but they don't really realize, you know, the ethereal nature of it. They don't realize, you know, that actually they're like talking to their spirit guides or their higher self. So here we have confusing, which I think is just, again, you know, about their, yeah, sort of, I'm not gonna lie, I think that, you know, even though this person is, when you meet them, they're going to be a lot more secure in their, you know, themselves. I think that it's still gonna be a lot of unexpected depth to them. So I think, you know, you see them as the sun, and even just look at this card, you know, you see them as the sun, but then you don't really fully appreciate all these little, you know, aspects of them, all these little rays shining out of them until you really like get to know them and look at them clearly and deeply. So yeah, there's an energy of like even though this person has like taken great strides to be more comfortable in themselves and to not bar people off from, you know, experiencing them enjoying their true interests, I think that this person they still do have like just somewhat of an insular energy, and so there just definitely are going to be things that you don't know about them until you see them. So this is giving me vibes of like, you don't even know that they're like a musician or like an amateur songwriter until you literally like move in with them and hear them like writing songs themselves, and you're like, what the heck, why did you not tell me? And they're like, oh, sorry, like I just truly like forgot, it never came up and I just do it like flippantly. It's like, I didn't think it was anything important to tell you. And you're like, well, that's something really interesting that I would have loved to know. But yeah. And so brave, I think, yeah, that's also the energy. They are able to really be themselves right now. And I think that the biggest difficulty for them is just in like remembering to not care about any people who are like, you know, looking at them twice doing this stuff. And so I think that you'll really admire them for that. But I think that you probably also mirror that energy in them. And so I think that you guys will sort of really be able to bolster each other's confidence. Mushy and fast. So I feel like this person's going to really love you a lot. Yeah, there was just so much warmth energy coming from the sun. And then I didn't even touch on the oracle cards yet. But yeah, you guys are going to really like bond emotionally very quickly. And so, I mean, even with like the conversation cards, so, you know, we have the people for the empathy, for people who, you know, commit trigger warning, you can fill in the rest, people who, you know, end their lives. Think of the 3 people you spend the most time with. What do they all have in common? How have you ever experienced a language or cultural barrier? Okay, so yeah, I think that you guys are going to bond over your empathy for other people. You guys are going to bond over how much you guys enjoy your own interests. I don't even think that you guys have similar interests, but I think that your interests bring you similar amounts of pure joy and like peace and calmness. And I think that you guys are both as invested in having and carrying out these interests as the other is. And so I think that you guys are also both very emotionally sensitive, and I think that you guys probably have gone through it mentally a little bit, and you guys are going to verbalize that to each other early on, and I think that'll really help you guys feel very secure in each other's presences. And then, so think of the 3 people you spend the most time with. First of all, I think this person's going to become one of the people you spend the most time with. I think that this person and you are going to have the qualities of the people that each other spends the most time with. And it's giving me energy of like, you guys are going to have the qualities, the best qualities of all the people they love to hang out with. And so it's just going to be like one like ultra perfect person. Not to say that anyone or anything is perfect, but definitely that I think this relationship, yeah, you guys are going to be in each other's lives in a way that no one else has been in your lives. You guys are going to hold such an important place because this is very much such a similar person to you, but I think that they do probably present a little differently. I think that their insides, their soul, their heart is so similar to you. I think that is very much the same. You guys have the same emotions about the same things. You guys care about the same things and are sensitive in the same ways. But I think that you guys may like physically look different. You guys may just have different hobbies, different career paths, things like that. But I think that you guys are going to be just a rock for the other person. You guys are truly going to be like a pair, like, you know, it's giving me, so, I mean, you guys could, I know this is a soulmate reading, but it could be, you know, if you guys resonate with twin flame, this could also be like a soulmate who's also a twin flame. But also what I was getting was like twin, you know, just like the people who are like identical twins and how they like share the same DNA, and they're just like, they, you know, people say that they can like read each other's minds, and they're just so intimately connected to each other in a way that other people just cannot comprehend. That's what this energy is. You know, you guys are so emotionally tied to each other in ways that you have not been emotionally tied to anyone else. And then, have you ever experienced a language or culture barrier? How did you work through it? So yeah, I think that's the energy. There just could be differences between you. It could be something literally like a language barrier or a cultural barrier. But yeah, just something that maybe makes people think surface level wise you guys are incompatible, or you guys are just different. Maybe not even incompatible, but maybe they were like, oh, I would have never pictured them together. But I think soul wise, you know, on the inside, your hearts are very much the same. And so finally, I will talk about the elephant in the room, the beloved and the lovers, the fact that they both came out, and the fact that they're so intense. So the beloved did come out first, and the beloved, this just like, ooh, I moved this a little bit, sorry. The beloved, this just looks like, honestly, like, this reminds me of Euphoria. I'm not kidding. So just something, so if you guys have watched Euphoria, that's like the brooding energy that this card is giving me. And I don't think that this person is brooding or anything like that at all, but I think that maybe it's just talking about like the intensity of your connection, and maybe especially immediately when you guys come together, because there is such an intense emotional connection between you guys, and they are already pretty spiritually connected. I feel like once you guys meet or even just lock eye contact, there will be some sort of like cord connected or like sparked between you guys. And I'm feeling like it could, if one or both of you are prone to like, you know, dissociation, or feeling like, you know, depersonalization, or feeling like life isn't real, I feel like that could definitely be how you guys feel when you first meet this person or get emotionally connected with them. There's some energy of like finding it very difficult to believe and take this person as they are and believe they're a real person. And so it gave me like very, very intense energy right off the bat, which honestly was very different from the energy of the person. And I think that's because this is the energy of the connection. So the connection is going to be deeply, deeply spiritual. The fact that it's, purple reinforces that to me. The fact that there are stars reinforces that to me. Something like, guiding stars. I think that you guys very much just sort of happen upon each other, in a fairly serendipitous way, or in a way where it's like one thing could have gone differently and I would not have met this person. But then, with the lovers, so I feel like a little bit after this intense initial meeting, when you guys finally do get used to each other's energy and sort of come back down to earth a little bit and realize, yeah, this person's real, they're in front of me, you guys are going to have this energy. And I mean, the Lovers card in tarot, it talks about, choice and almost like duality in a sense. But this is almost giving me like the opposite of that. It's giving me like merging, instead of, breaking two halves into the two halves. It's taking the two halves together again and making it whole. So this isn't really giving me the dualistic Gemini energy of the Lovers from the tarot deck, but rather like an actual like affectionate, warm, embracing, loving energy as like displayed on the card. So, I think that you guys could really hug a lot, because again, I just think emotions are so important and run so deep in this connection. I think that you guys just really do express it like, physically, because you have so many emotions inside of you. I think that it's almost like hard for you guys to get it out. And so you guys are just sort of like, I'm getting a very clingy energy, like physically clingy. Like I think that you guys are so like physically affectionate with each other. Especially this person, honestly. I think that they could just really be the one just like comes up behind you and like clings on to you. But you guys are going to have such a beautiful connection. I'm gonna leave it there though. That's all I have for you guys. I hope you enjoyed that reading. It was a beautiful reading and a beautiful connection. If you guys did enjoy the reading, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Definitely subscribe to keep up to date on when I post new readings. But yeah, I'll leave it here and hope you have a nice night. Bye guys. Hello, group number 2. If you chose Florida Water, this will be your reading all about your soulmate. So I have cards that I pre-selected because I thought I was going to do this reading a little bit ago, but I didn't have the energy, so I only pulled the cards for it. So I will put them down. So first we have War and Peace. Oh, actually that was the second one that came out. The first oracle card was Color. And I remember that because it's an important part of your reading, so I'll get there when I get there. But yeah, Color. You guys could maybe infer a little bit. Look, Color, and then look at all the colors in this card, which is beautiful. I think this card is like truly like aesthetically beautiful. And then let's get the tarot. So it's interesting, 6 tarot cards came out, whereas I was only trying to get 4. But so we have the Judgment and the Ace of Coins. So those two are together. And then we have Justice and the Page of Wands. Engineer of Lighters is Page of Wands in this deck. So we have Justice and the Page of Wands. And lastly we have, again, I did it in the wrong order. We have 5 of Cups and the 4 of Coins. Yeah. Because that card, I remember these 2 cards came out first, because obviously those are a little more rough of some tarot cards compared to these cards. And so I remember these 2 came out first. So I also got some apples to apples cards, just to get a little bit about, their personality and such. So we have Bruno Mars. Maybe they love to sing. Class clown. Maybe they're hilarious. My subconscious, they're definitely in their head. I'm just saying silly little one-off things right now, but I'm actually going to get dive into the energy. Because these apples to apples cards, they honestly enable me to intuitively get a lot of stuff. And then we also get Netflix. And then some more. We have painful. Yikes. We have smooth. And that's not yikes, for this connection or anything. Because these are cards, about this person. And obviously everyone goes through painful stuff. Lovable. Quiet. And then I have some oh no, actually I'll do that a little bit. But I also have Cards Against Humanity cards. So we have Bill Nye the Science Guy. Sorry, I just whipped these in front of the camera so quickly. Justin Bieber. I'm so impatient. I really am. Finger painting. Genuine Human Connection. Darth Vader. And a tribe of warrior women. Alright, and then I pulled some conversation cards to get, what do you guys bond over? Can violence ever be justified? In what circumstances? You guys bond over violence. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, guys. What is guaranteed to bring you happiness? Is there anything too serious to be joked about? Class clown. And then, do you identify with people who live with mental health conditions? Why? That's such a roundabout way of saying, do you have mental health issues? Okay, I'm gonna go to the potty really quick, but I'll be back. Okay, I am back. So, let's get started with, just talking about this card, Florida Water. So yeah, as I was talking about before, it is just such aesthetically a beautiful card to me. Just the blue background. Okay, first of all, actually, I'll talk about picking the cards for the piles. So this is 3 and 1, so that reduces to a 4. And the card for pile 1 was 2-2, which also reduced to a 4. And then the card for pile 3 is, I'll show it to you again. It's this card, so it's 3-3, so that's a 6. But, I mean, this card really seemed like it was the mix between pile 1 and pile 3. And I'm not saying that I think your person is a mix between pile 1 and pile 3, but just the synchronicity was very profound for me. So 3 and 1, reduces to 4. It tells me there's someone trying to build stability. They're trying to build stability, but maybe they just don't really know where to build it from. And all of these, plants and stuff, there's plants, there's flowers, there's fruit growing. There's just a lot growing from this one person's garden and hand. And so this card is actually talking about, Florida Water, it's spirituality and spiritual simplicity. I wouldn't really be surprised. I don't think that this person is very knowingly spiritual, but I think that they are a very skilled manifester. I think that they're able to bring things into their life. I think that they have, very little difficulty, honestly, in manifesting things that even aren't aligned for them. And so I know that, with me, I know that I literally am not able to manifest anything not aligned with me. If I try to go for something that I've been getting hints is not for me, I will be barred at every point from doing this. But I feel like this person, the lessons they were meant to learn were centered around, what's the word? The hedge, trimming excess energy out of their life. So I think that they're able to, birth this huge, beautiful garden. But I mean, look at it. There are some lemons. There are just some random flowers. Maybe you could consider them weeds or something. There are just things in the garden that they don't need, that aren't really aligned with them, but that they wanted to grow anyway. And so that's what I'm getting from this, the 5 of Cups. So I think that So this is them being able to manifest things, but the things not being able to work out in the way that they wanted them to. And then them having to consciously trim that energy from their life after realizing it's not going to work out the way they want it to. So this is something like, you know, this person, they're just such an ambitious person. Probably they are for all of you guys. So maybe, you know, for an example, just to get my point across, maybe this person, yeah, they could have applied for a job that they thought they were really underqualified for, you know, just because it's a high-paying job in a sought-after field, and they're not qualified for it, so they were like, shouldn't I be reaching for things that are, you know, I'm unqualified for? Shouldn't I be reaching for things out of my scope? I should be pushing myself. I should be trying to manifest as much as possible in as little time as possible. It really is about, like, you know, abundance, like simply magnitude of abundance for them. I think that they really do have sort of like a distorted sense of like more is better. And so I think, yeah, they could be going after a job that they think they're underqualified for, and they are underqualified for, but maybe they get that job and they only went after it because it was so high paying and in such a lucrative field, but they get that job. And maybe, you know, in the job, it could be something like, I don't know. So I'm feeling like it wouldn't be that they get fired, but I think that it would be more so something like they're just forced to quit by something, you know? Maybe they're like, wow, this job is really out of my scope. Or they're like, wow, this job is so boring and I have no interest in it and I'm miserable. So I feel like they wouldn't really be fired. They wouldn't be forced to know how this situation isn't for them, but they'd have to sort of like brutally discover that for themselves, and then they'd have to take the initiative to cut that energy out of their life. But Four of Coins tells me they're very protective of the choices that they make. They don't like going after things and spending their time and energy and resources on things that ultimately do not work out for them. They don't like that. Once again, they have a distorted mindset of more is better. And I think that that's something that they're coming out of. And I think that that's something that they're going to be sort of freshly out of when they meet you. And I think that that sort of could be your sort of soulmate journey with them, is a little bit of you guys realizing, you guys discovering what is truly meant for you, what you guys truly do want, and making conscious actions towards getting those things, instead of just making random actions to get as much stuff as possible in a short amount of time. It's taking much more meticulous, careful, thought out steps to say, oh yeah, no, actually a job in tech is not going to work because I don't like sitting at a desk. I think I should have a more person-centered job where I can be face-to-face with people, you know? And it's like taking the time to then try and find a great, lucrative, well-paying job with those requirements instead of just any well-paying job that you can find. And almost there is an energy of like, they feel like things that are out of their reach, if they can get them, that means it's even better, you know? So this isn't just a really well-paying job, but this is like a well-paying job that they're not qualified for. This is a well-paying job that other people would be really impressed with them getting, you know? And so it's almost like it's even harder to get. That means I really need to get it. And they're starting to come out of that energy. They definitely are. Because they're just simply having to realize, you know, they're growing up and they're realizing not everything that other people that work for other people are going to work for me, and the same things are not going to work for everyone on this planet. And so now they're learning these lessons. So justice, you know, this card, the little poem on this card talks about putting your shopping cart back at the end of grocery shopping. And so I think it's so justice is clarified by the Page of Wands. So I think that they're learning to spend energy and put in effort where it's actually meaningful and important. So whereas before I feel like maybe they were the type of person to be like, oh no, I have to go somewhere quickly. Don't have time to put the shopping cart back. Let's go. I just went grocery shopping. Now I have to go, work on this thing. So nope, let's Zoom, let's get out of here. Whereas now I feel like they're like, oh, no, you know, like they're trying to be a lot more mindful. during the day, and they're just trying to make sure their actions are more meaningful. So they're not just going to jump from activity to activity, errand to errand every day. They're going to go grocery shopping, and then they're going to go home and, you know, consciously and meticulously cook dinner for themselves in a very wholesome way. And so, you know, whereas before they'd be like, oh no time to put away the grocery cart, I have so many other errands to run. But now they'll be like, no, let's put away the grocery cart because I'm just going to go home and eat dinner after this. And I don't need to get there like 5 seconds earlier. I can wait 5 seconds and put away the grocery cart. There is like some sort of, yeah, like better time management, but not even time management. It's better time management that stems from, you know, reprioritizing things in your life. You know, so I think, whereas, yeah, they're definitely a very ambitious person, really go-getter. They make a lot of things happen, getting a lot of, a lot of cardinal energy from them, but also potentially a lot of mutable energy. So really the energy that I'm getting from them is they could be Gemini, they could be Cancer, yeah. They could also potentially, no. They could be an Aries too. But yeah, so I think, yeah, so Page of Wands clarified by the Justice. I feel as before they were putting their energy and trying to make anything happen. I feel like now they're trying to scale back. And so, because right after that we have Judgment being clarified by the Ace of Coins. So I always love it when Judgment and Justice come out because it tells me, you know, whenever it's just justice or just judgment, it feels almost like there's something to be said about like on the morality of a situation or something. But when justice and judgment comes out, it tells me, you know, the judgment was made, and the judgment was made that justice is served, you know. And so it gives me, you know, when justice and judgment comes out, it gives me more of a complete energy that, you know, this morality thing has been you know, resolved, this morality issue. And so I feel like this person, you know, is recently learning to, yeah, take back their time and energy and resources from things that are a little superfluous, a little frivolous, and put it meaningfully into things that they can build from. So I think that they're, you know, they'll really be, they're going to be able to make a lot of things happen for themselves, even when those things aren't aligned for them. But I think that this person is going, you know, gradually they're learning quicker and quicker how to detect when things aren't aligned for them. And so eventually they're not even going to have to wait until they're in that job to realize it's not for them. They're just going to have to read the Indeed description of the job posting to realize that it's not aligned with them. And so then they'll only be applying to jobs that they do have like a conscious alignment with. And so I think that that's sort of the energy that they'll be newly stepping into when you guys meet each other. But so I'll also talk about the oracle cards a little bit at first, because I think that they do relate to the person. So yeah, this person has like a lot of conflicting energies within them. I mean, not just, yeah, conflicting energies within them, because they do have a lot of ambition, they have a lot of energy, a lot of action within them that they want to expel, but you know, they keep putting themselves in positions and circumstances where they feel uncomfortable expending that energy, you know. So they got a job that, and they're like a really hard worker, and they're really eager to, you know, earn their money, get their bag and everything. But then, you know, they don't feel comfortable in that job doing that because the job is not aligned with them. But I mean, colors. So color was crazy when it came out, because literally when I was shuffling the deck, I was looking at this card and thinking of the card color, just because of all of the colors. And then literally the color card came out, which is always such a beautiful synchronicity. So this person does have a lot of color in their life. I think I was dwelling a lot on the energy of, you know, the things that they're able to make happen, but let's just take a step back and explain how they're able to make all these things happen. And that's because they have such a beautiful, enriched, vibrant mind. They have such a beautiful, rich inner world. They have very mutable energy where they're able to they're able to do a lot of things. They're able to be good at a lot of things, you know? This is a person who could, maybe they've been playing soccer their whole life, but they're able to just like pick up field hockey super quickly because it's also like a sport. It's a different sport, but because they were, you know, they've been training so hard in one sport their whole life, they're able to translate that to other things that are similar, even though they're also different. So this person's just, they're not to generalize too much, but they're very good at a lot of things, and it's easy for them to get good at things, which is also what makes it so confusing what exactly is aligned for them, because they have so much potential in so many different areas. They're like an artistic person. I mean, yeah, this card itself is just so almost like mind-boggling to me, especially because this card and the energy of this group was giving me a little bit of a mix between pile 1 and pile 3. And pile 1 was like a very, you know, warm person, and pile 3 gives me very like spiritual person vibes. Just, you know, just to have a quick one-off reduction of those groups. But this person, they have a lot of complex energy. They have deep spiritual abilities within them. I think that they're very untapped in a way, though. I think that this person isn't really thinking about spirituality, but I think that they are very much able to manifest things very easily. But I think that this person also is probably, you know, they're probably good at sports, and they're probably, you know, good at, you know, math, and they're, you know, they're good at a lot of things that may seem a little contradictory. They're good at a bunch of different things. They very much break down stereotypes and like boxes and boundaries that you would put them in. They have a lot of wide interests, and so it's hard for them to understand what interests they should pursue, because it would, you know, bring them fulfillment. They don't know. They, you know, they applied for that tech job on Indeed because that's such a good salary, and, you know, that's a hot, you know, field to be working in, and maybe they're like, I'm good at computers too, you know, like I'm good at tech stuff, I can do tech stuff, and they are good at it, but, you know, it just isn't fulfilling them in the right way. And so they're good at a lot of things, and so it's hard for them to understand what things they want to be good at, or what things they care about being good at, what things make them feel good because they're also good at them, you know? So it's not just, don't just take a job in tech because you're good at tech and it makes a lot of money, but take a job in, you know, maybe child psychology, where you can also make a lot of money, but then connect to people in a meaningful way for you. But this person just has so much vibrancy within them. They have a lot, they are very deeply complex, and they sort of sit in each of their complexities. They're a very interdisciplinary person. I feel like they could have like a lot of just very random hobbies, you know? Maybe they like go on a bike ride for 2 hours, and then they come home and like teach a class online or something. And then maybe they go out and like club. Who knows? Not me, but it's definitely like a lot of different things. They have a lot of energy to them. And it may seem a little contradictory, but it really isn't. It really is just like so many different facets of this one beautiful mosaic of a person. So we have Bruno Mars and Class Clown. I mean, obviously those two energies are just so contradictory for me. Bruno Mars is like the last person I would think is like a class clown, but no, this person is like, they're funny, they're outgoing, they're sociable. I'm getting that this person probably is. You know, they're such a manifestor. I feel like they wouldn't have a problem being the center of attention. I think that they're probably very, it's giving me main character energy, and so I feel like they very much, I mean, everyone's a main character of their own life, and so I feel like this person included, they're very much a main character of their own life. So I think that, you know, when other people sort of also treat them like a main character, they just sort of naturally fall into it. I don't think this person's looking for attention or anything, but I think the attention is naturally just sort of put on them because of their very nuanced and complex nature. You know, this is the type of person who's like homecoming queen, but also like, you know, they're getting their PhD, and then they're, you know, also saving animals, and, you know, they have a farm. So this is someone who's doing like a ton of different things, and a lot of people are looking at them as they're doing those different things and looking at them in admiration. But yeah, we have class clowns. So I think this person, so it's a lot of superfluous manifesting a lot of stuff energy. So I think in a similar vein, they like to have fun. They like to keep things lighthearted. They probably don't like to talk about things so much. I think that there could be a large part of their emotions that are fairly untapped, or that they just haven't sort of delved completely into. I think that they prefer to have a goal and a project to be working on, and to work on that project. I don't think that they really like to take a lot of time to just be by themselves and their thoughts. I think that they prefer to, have a plan for the day and to see that plan through. They're not someone who wants to just sit at home really and watch TV for hours. There's someone who's like, okay, I'm gonna go in the morning to like go grocery shopping, and then I'll come home and watch TV for like exactly 2 episodes, and then I'm gonna do this thing. It's like very regimented and scheduled to an extent, their life, but in a way where it keeps them from really diving into their consciousness. Because if you think about it, you really do just need to be able to sit alone with your thoughts to be able to, sit in your energy and understand your emotions. I know, like, I had a period of my life where I was in a similar energy as this person, where I would just, I had a very strict schedule of what I do, but then having that in place meant also there was no wiggle room. It was comforting having a schedule, but also it meant that I was really neglecting my inner mental emotional state because I was so obsessed with following, a strict routine of what to do. And so I think that this person is a similar way, where they're talking, they're a class clown, they're Bruno Mars, they sing, they like to be an artist, they also like to crack jokes, they have a lot of wide range of interests, but almost like they have such a wide range of interests, they're so into those interests that they're very far removed from what those interests say about themselves. They're so intent on riding their bike that they don't ever they're so intent on going out and having a schedule of riding their bike and going to the grocery store and cooking food, because they know, I am a person who likes to ride my bike, I am a person who likes to cook my own food. But in the moment when they're doing it, they're not feeling those things. They're not being very mindful. They're not riding their bike and saying, wow, I love this so much. They're riding their bike and just almost being like, yeah, later I'm going to go to the grocery store. They're not really living in the moment and they're not feeling the enjoyment for those things that they would normally feel, because they're doing it sort of on like a schedule or on like a very regimented time. And so I think that they definitely are learning now to be more mindful and to be more in the moment and present, so that even when they have a schedule of things to do, they can be very present in the moment during that scheduled thing. And so, yeah, my subconscious, I think that they just have a lot of like emotions that they're sort of newly delving into. And I think that it comes along with sort of realizing that they have to consciously manifest things that they want instead of just manifesting anything. So I think that in learning to how to manifest only things they want, they also have to learn what those things are. And to learn what the things are that they truly want, they do have to introspect and dive into themselves. And so I think that's sort of where they'll be when they meet you. That's going to be the journey that they're on. And then we have Netflix. So I think that this person does, they do like to wind down. It is so funny. This is like almost like giving me like their schedule for the day. It's like first in the morning, they go off and they write some songs and some poetry. And then maybe they go hang out with their friends and have a really good time. Oh, and then maybe they schedule like an hour for themselves to just contemplate their career goals. And then they come home and watch 2 episodes of Kim's Convenience and go to bed. So this person is like, it's a very interesting energy. Oh, you know what else I'm getting? I'm getting Virgo. I'm getting a lot of Virgo, actually. I'm getting Virgo and like water. So they could honestly like Virgo and Cancer or Virgo and Pisces, because it's giving me the energy of like they have the earth to grow these seeds, to put these flowers in the earth, and then like there's some water element of their chart that like helps grow all of these things. And so let's talk a little bit more. So Bill Nye the Science Guy, I think that they're very smart. They're just able to do so much. This person is so impressive, honestly, guys. They're like good at everything. This is the person who like would say that you know, they thought they didn't do well on a test because they did barely studied, and then they get like an A, but maybe the A is just like a 95 and not a 100, and they're like, oh yeah, like I still didn't do so great. And you're like, shut up, you literally did amazing. Not to say that I think they're gonna be super duper humble like that, but this is just the type of person where it's like, they say they don't study and then they do well, you know? I think that this person does sort of know that they're impressive, or they know that they're able to do a lot of things, and that's why they aren't afraid to go put themselves out there and try to get a lot of things, because they know that they're able to receive and they're able to do a lot. You know, they're not afraid to apply for a job they're underqualified for, because they know that stuff like that has worked out for them in the past. Justin Bieber. So we had Justin Bieber finger painting. Yeah, so I think that they're an artist with finger painting. Honestly, it's almost giving me the energy of like this color. I think that there's someone who, it is also like, you know, a little bit of a childlike energy where they're sort of treating life as like a game of seeing like, how much can I get? How much can I make? Like, what can I have? You know, they're treating themselves like a sim, or like a person in Animal Crossing, an animal in Animal Crossing. And they're like, how do I just get as many fish as I can? And they're, yeah, in like a childlike way. So it is a little playful. And so I think that's why they also don't really like delving into their emotions, because they like to feel like life is lighthearted. They like to be like a class clown. They don't like to think about things so seriously that it makes life feel, you know, like a drag, or makes life feel really serious. They like to keep things lighthearted. They like surface level things. They like excess and frivolousness, because they don't like intensity, honestly, which is weird because this card is pretty intense, and I think that they do have a naturally intense nature to them. And by intense, I just mean, you know, I think that they do have a very like emotionally strong, sensitive aspect to them, and I think that they do have the potential to be deeply spiritual, if they cared enough to like sort of tap into that side of them. But I'm feeling like right now, I think that they aren't really wanting to think about things as potentially ungrounding as stuff like spirituality. And genuine human connection, yeah, I think that I wouldn't be surprised if this person hasn't had many connections in the past, or honestly, no, I think that they have had a lot of connections in the past, but I think that they've had rose-colored glasses on for a lot of them. And so I think that they've probably come into a lot of connections, and then they've had to quickly drop out of a lot of connections, because they've been looking for this genuine human contact and connection, and they think that they get them, but then they don't, because again, this person sees the best in everything. This person sees a job opportunity in tech and is like, I'm good at computers. This could be the job of my dreams. Let's go. But then, yeah, they just see like the ultimate potential. They're not seeing that actually they're good at computers, but computers are a little boring, you know? So maybe it's like this person meets someone who's really nice and funny, and they're like, oh, this could be my soulmate. Let's go, let's do this. And then they realize, they get into the connection, and they realize this person's actually like, you know, maybe they're not truthful. Maybe they did have the good qualities that they saw in them, but they also had some negative qualities that this person wasn't able to see because they were just so focused on the good parts, the potential. So Darth Vader, this is telling me this person could have daddy issues. So also the tribe of warrior woman is telling me that too. So this person could just have, you know, come from very strong feminine energies, maybe even strong feminine energies that are a little bit masculine. So this could be something like, you know, maybe they have a very strong like female energy in their family. Maybe they, you know, have a mom. Maybe they don't really have a dad who's present or there, or that they're close to, but they have like a mom or a mother figure and female women figures that they've been close to, and maybe those women figures have been very masculine because the men in their life haven't been there because the men in their life have disappointed them. I think that there is some aspect of, yeah, like being disappointed in men in general, which is interesting. So even if this person is a man, I think that this is someone who's like, yeah, it's like they weren't very close to their father figure, or they didn't really have a father figure, or they felt more comfortable with the women figures in their life. Yeah. Which was interesting. I think that they're a deep feminist. So we have painful. I think that painful is just sort of the process of them sort of like having to chip off all of these other people. So we haven't gotten a lot about your connection. So now I actually want to like dwell a little bit on your connection. And I think that these do kind of reference it. So I think that painful also is the energy of, this person having to deal with these non-genuine human connections in the past. And then I think when it comes to you, it will be pretty smooth. I think in the beginning it'll be a little painful too, because I think this person's going to have on their rose-colored glasses when it comes to you, but I think that they're going to know and be aware of the fact, especially because of the journey that they're newly on in like being able to consciously manifest things that they want. I think that they're going to be very aware of their rose-colored glasses when it comes to you, and so they're going to be thinking the whole time like, oh, am I just building this person up to be someone that they aren't, just like with all these other people and all of these other opportunities for me. But then I think, once you guys get over a little bit of a hump, once you guys sort of know each other and trust each other, because it does seem like, there was some sort of latency period with this person before, whereas maybe it was like it took 1 month from starting to date where this person finally realized that these people were not who they thought they were. And so maybe the 1 month mark comes and goes with you, and they're like, oh no, this person is still the same person that I thought they were the whole time. Okay, I'm gonna trust them wholly right now. I'm not gonna assume I have on rose-colored glasses. I think these are just normal glasses. And so you guys get very, there's just a little bit of a hump to get over in the beginning, but then once you're over it, it's very smooth sailing in this connection. I think that they trust you deeply. I think that they're a very lovable person because of how admirable they are. They're able to do so much for themselves. I think that you're going to truly admire them so deeply for that. You're going to just, and also I think that this person is going to help you manifest the things that you want, because this person has just such a natural like master manifestor energy. I think that it's going to seep into you and your connection. It's going to seep into you via your connection. So I think it's going to start off like, your connection is going to be very fruitful. So maybe this is something like just simply when you guys are together, things going right for you. So maybe you guys are looking for an apartment together and you guys find like the perfect dream apartment. Maybe you guys are trying to relocate somewhere and it just works out for both of you, where you both find jobs in the new space. It's something very fruitful, and then it's going to leak into you, just you, Oh, I keep moving this table. Sorry, guys. So it's something like, yeah, it's not only you guys want to relocate together and you guys find a new job, but maybe you find like a job that's even better than the job you have now. It's a job that would be like a step up, but then it's also in the new space that you want it to be in the new location that you want it to move to. And so it's like absolutely perfect. This is going to be such an abundant relationship. I think that you guys are also, spirituality is going to be very deep, because I think that this person does have so much spiritual potential, and I think that they're going to sort of, throughout the duration of your relationship with them, they're going to realize that potential. And so I think that they are still a little emotionally closed off, but then, during your relationship, as they get more in tune with what they truly want and more in tune with themselves, they're going to also get just naturally more in tune with their spirituality and their higher selves. And it's going to deepen the spiritual bond between you guys. And for quiet, I'm getting actually that, I'm getting a lot of quiet moments in this connection. I'm feeling like, because I don't think that they're such a quiet person, but I think that you guys, like this relationship between you guys could be fairly quiet, and not in a way where it's like it's boring or anything, but I think that there's just like quite literally a lot of time spent in silence with each other. I think that there's just a lot of feelings, maybe not even a lot of, inner dialogue where you guys are staring at each other and thinking, but just a lot of in the moment feelings, because I think this person does have problems like putting words to their feelings and emotions. So I think that there's going to be a lot of this connection where you guys are just sort of sitting with each other in each other's presences, in each other's energy, and you're just sort of letting your emotions wash over you for this person. And I think that that's going to sort of be how you process it in the beginning. You know, you guys aren't going to be like consciously thinking, oh, how do I feel about this person? Oh, do I like them? Oh, how do they feel? But it's more so you guys are just going to be sitting with them, spending time with them, and just get washed over with feelings of like calm and peace and excitement and eventually love. And I think that's how you realize you love them. It is going to be like, you know, just sort of all at once. You guys are going to be feeling emotions. Maybe this is something like, you know, you spend a really beautiful date together or something, and you guys are just sort of sitting back at home in silence, like just sort of maybe on your phones, maybe, you know, you light a candle, maybe playing music, but you guys are just sort of maybe like snuggling together, and you guys just realize, oh, this emotion I'm feeling right now is love. And then you like tell them, oh, I love you. And so there's just a lot of feeling your feelings, and then after you feel them and get a handle on them, then you like explain them to that person. And so let's finish up with these conversation cards. So we have, can violence ever be justified? In what circumstances? I think that you guys are both just very, very, you guys have a strong sense of like morality when it comes to right and wrong. And so I think that, you know, even if it's, this person is a little far removed from their own emotions, I think this person is not that far removed from the emotions of other people. So this person is able to, you know, see someone else maybe taking a job just because it pays well, and they're able to be like, oh, but do you really like it? You know, they'll be like, oh, are you sure like that's what you want to do? Like, are you sure you're in it for the right reasons? And it's going to be a little hypocritical because it's like, you just applied for that job in tech, but then they'd be like, oh, but I like computers. And you're like, yeah, but you're just good at computers and you like them. You don't actually like tech and what this job entails. So anyway, but yeah, so I think this person, you know, they will see people being treated unjustly, and they will have very strong feelings about it, and they will be very outspoken about it too. This person, you know, they do have like just sort of an innate sense of confidence. They know sort of what they can do. They know that they're the master manifester. They know that they're able to do it. So if they see someone being mistreated, I think that they're going to feel like the master manifester, and they're going to try and change that situation. They're going to go up to the person who's mistreating someone else and being like, no, this is wrong. Don't do it. It's wrong. And they're going to feel like they're going to be able to make a difference. Whether or not they actually make a difference, not sure, but they're going to feel like they're able to do it. What is guaranteed to bring you happiness? It's like, is it asking me that question? No, so these are cards that are, supposed to be what connects you guys. So what's guaranteed to bring you guys happiness? And so I think that that's sort of what you guys are on a journey to figuring out together. You guys are both sort of working, whereas I feel like this person is working on chiseling down the excess in their life to make sure that what remains is only what brings them true happiness. I feel like you in this connection, you're going to be trying to grow things from the ground up to manifest the life that you want. I think it's very much this person is starting in excess and you're starting in lack or in scarcity, and you're having to build up and this person is having to trim down. But you guys are both sort of curating this happiness for yourselves in this relationship, but it's just almost in like opposite ways. And then, is there anything too serious to be joked about? Yeah, that's this person's energy of not really wanting to take things so seriously because they're more comfortable in their lighthearted energy, which I understand, but you know, problematic. Can you identify with people who live with mental health conditions, and why? I think that this is also like just the indirect wording of this also, of this card, is just also telling us that I think that they probably could have mental health conditions and identify as someone with them, but I think that they'd be so kind of not so far removed, honestly, from their emotions that they're not really aware of them, you know? Like, this could be the person who they know that they feel lethargic and like they know that they feel like unhappy and unsatisfied and uncontent with life, but they don't realize that that means that they have depression. And not to say that everyone who feels that way has depression, but for the example of this person, I feel like they could have clinical depression potentially, but then, you know, they wouldn't even be aware of it because they just, you know, they take their emotions as they are and they don't read that much into them. And I think that you guys, yeah, your connection is definitely going to help them be more in touch with their emotions. But okay, pile 2, I'm gonna leave it here. Yeah, you guys have a very impressive soulmate. Very impressive soulmate who's gonna be a little bit on a journey of, you know, emotionally connecting with themselves. And I think that that's probably your strong suit. And so I think you're really gonna help them, you know, enhance that part of themselves. And I think their strong suit is manifestation, and they're going to help you manifest the life that you want. And so it's a beautiful reciprocated, balanced energy in this connection. But yeah, pile 2, I'm going to leave it there. If you liked this reading, feel free to like, comment, but definitely subscribe so you can keep up to date with my new readings. But I'm going to leave it here. I hope you guys have a nice day or night whenever you're watching. Bye. Hey, pile 3, if you chose opening circle, this will be your reading all about your soulmate. So I have cards pre-selected because I thought I was going to be doing this reading a little bit ago, but I didn't have the energy, so I'll just do it now. And I already chose your cards though. So we got some oracle cards. First one is Confusion, and our second one is Guardian Angel. We have some tarot cards. So we got, oh yeah, these are beautiful. So we got the 2 of Wands, clarified by the 3 of Coins. We have the, okay, so we have the Page of Cups. So it's the Emergence of Lattes, which is the Page of Cups in this deck. Clarified by the Forecaster of Lights, which is the Queen of Wands, and the 2 of Knives, which is the 2 of Swords. So first of all, well, no, okay, let me finish putting out all the cards. I wanted to talk about these cards already, but I mean, I might as well point them out to you. There are not that many white cards in this deck, in the Mundane Magic Tarot deck, this one. Whoops, messed up all the cards. There are not that many white cards, but like 4 of the 5 cards that came out were white, and both of like the main cards that came out were white. And so that just seems very significant to me, because I don't think that any of the other cards that the other groups got were white. Yeah, sorry for the like terrible lighting right now. Also, it is like so sunny, and there's a window like in that corner, and so it's just like destroying, it's just washing this out. So I'll talk more about the significance of like the all white, but I mean, first of all, it tells me, I mean, this person is so spiritual. First of all, like opening circle, like if you just look at this, I mean, I know I wanted to lay down all the cards first, but I might as well talk a little bit. So 3-3, that's just, it's like such a spiritual number. To me, 3s and 7s are like the most spiritual numbers that you can get. So 3-3-3 could be a synchronicity for you when you're about to meet this soulmate, or it could be also a synchronicity when, you know, they're thinking of you, and it just is a little reminder to you that you guys are like very deeply connected, because I think that you guys probably have some sort of spiritual connection to each other before you even meet. With this crow here too, which I absolutely adore because I love crows and they're so spiritually significant to me. And I love whenever their imagery comes up on cards, because it's telling me that, yeah, this person is, you know, they have spiritual abilities. Everyone does to some extent, but I think that this person is actually very tapped into it. I think that this person is probably a very aware spiritual person. They could be, you know, it could be under the guise of religion or something, but there's some aspect where they're very deeply connected with their higher self and also source, you know, also like the universal life around them. They're very connected to any conception of God or the universe that they may have. I feel like they feel very connected to the beings and the things around them. Like, look at this little circle, and the crow's just sort of sitting on that circle. It feels like it's like the circle of life, and I feel like this person does deeply feel very connected to sort of all the living creatures around them, you know? I think they probably have very deep empathy for animals, for children, for people and cultures that are different from theirs, that maybe they don't understand or the people around them don't understand. I think there's just a very, very deep innate empathy in this person for everyone around them. And yeah, the fact that all these cards are, you know, white, it's just sort of giving me like the purity of their soul and their spirit. I think that yeah, we'll get more into it once we get the other cards, but I feel like there's some, you know, this such in-depth spirituality. And first of all, it's not that common to have a soulmate who is so already in touch with their spirituality, and then it's also not so common for someone who is so in touch with their spirituality to have it manifest in such a pure way. So this is someone they probably have gone through it in some aspect, because it really taught them it taught them the importance in scraping away all of the excess and all of the impurities, and making sure that only like their true good intentions remain. And I know that that's very vague, and I'll get more into it once we, you know, continue with the reading, but I just wanted to get that out of the way, because there were a lot of synchronicities that's occurred in all of the piles, which is always beautiful. But I think that this one was really intense for me. Just the fact that, I mean, it blew my mind when this white card got clarified by another white card. I was like, oh my gosh, like that never happens. And then the fact another white card came out, and then it was clarified by a blue one, but then another white one came out right afterwards. It's telling me that this person really is like a bright light. Maybe they do, you know, they have naturally like dark tendencies in them, as all people do, but there's someone who just wants to live in the light. There's someone who, they almost see life as black and white in a way. They see things as good or bad, and they just very consciously choose to sit in the good and to try and make as much in their life good as possible. You know, they're trying to minimize the negative energies. They're very spiritually aware and very, very mature in their spirituality, in that they're not just, you know, connected to, you know, source and everything. They're not just like wanting to manifest things, but they're actually thinking about the outcomes of these things and the intentions behind it. They're thinking, you know, what can I manifest for myself? What can I manifest for other people? What can I do to elevate my quality of life and elevate other people's quality of life, while also like remaining true to myself and remaining grounded in my energy. So that's beautiful. But okay, so let's get I got some apples to apples cards. So we have gentle, fun, worthless. I'll explain all of these. Friendly. And then we have some more apples to apples. Grey's Anatomy. Maybe they like it. Googling yourself. Maybe they do it. Practical jokes. Which is so funny. Each pile, honestly, has had some sort of like joke card come out. So I guess you guys are really attracting the funny crew, aren't you? And then Sundance Film Festival. Oh yeah. Okay, and then we also, so I have some Cards Against Humanity cards. So we have Still Being a Virgin. Maybe they are one. The Amish. Classist Undertones. Oh, actually, Mopi Zoo Lion was next to the Amish. And then Classist Undertones. Dropping a chandelier on your enemies and riding the rope up. A micro pig wearing a tiny raincoat and booties. And taking off your shirt. And then we have I pulled some conversation cards to get, like, what connects you guys? What deep things are, like, really do you bond over? What foods remind you of home? When was the last time you cried, and what was it about? When do you feel out of place? What were the holidays like for you growing up? So, here we have all your cards. And let's get into it. So first we have the Two of Lighters, the Two of Wands. This says, it's a delicate thing. I'm sorry, I keep holding it above the camera. It says, it's a delicate thing, fire, requiring just the right mixture of heat, oxygen, fuel, so stack the kindling carefully around the tinder. Remember, plans are useless, but planning is indispensable. All right, so just the fact that it says Tinder, you guys could meet on Tinder. You guys could meet on a dating app, for sure. You guys could just meet, maybe like socially through friends, or something that could act like Tinder. So this could be, you know, maybe like, maybe your friend has mutual friends and they like show you pictures of all of them and you're like, oh, that one's cute, like maybe set me up with that one. So it could be just definitely like a very sort of pre-planned energy where you guys meet each other. But so the thing that's really sticking out to me the most about this card is how it mentions just the right mixture of heat, oxygen, and fuel. So it tells me this person, I think that they have a lot of one type of energy. And so I think that they're a little trying to create that perfect mixture for themselves. So I think that they could either have, and honestly, just the spiritual vibe that it's giving me like they have a lot of like potential energy kept up in their head. They have a lot of dreams. They have a lot of things that they keep in their mind as sort of something like untouchable or unreachable, but something that they hope to touch or hope to reach one day. But I think that they have a lot of dream-like energy. It could be that they have a lot of air in their chart, or a lot of water in their chart, but just a lot of that sort of lighter energy, and they lack a little bit of, you know, the action and the fire to ground it in real life. I think that they are very, you know, in their spirituality, they're very much in their head, which is a beautiful thing. But I think that, yeah, they struggle a little bit with leaning into other aspects of themselves. I think that they very much are in their head and are in their, you know, spirituality and in their emotions. You know, they're constantly you know, empathizing with other people, you know, thinking about their own emotions and how maybe their emotions will be impacted by stuff. But I think that they just have trouble, like, you know, actually existing like in the 3D. They have trouble like actually, you know, doing things from those thoughts and feelings that they have. So maybe it's that, you know, maybe they see, you know, they are a super sensitive person, I'm getting, a super empathetic person. Maybe they see like kids, I don't know, kids being like mistreated by someone, and they just, all they're able to do really is feel the despair and the sorrow and upsetness from experiencing these kids being mistreated. They have trouble actually, you know, taking those feelings and transmuting them, transforming them into something a little useful, you know. They just sort of leave it at their feelings. They keep it trapped in their head. They don't really let that energy come out at all. And I think that that's something that they're working on. And so we have the Two of Lighters, Two of Wands being clarified by the Three of Coins, though. This is someone who is like, you know, they struggle to ground things emotionally, but I feel like they're good at grounding other sort of aspects in their life. So it says, busy bees, too cold, you know what to do, form a cluster, take turns being inside where the warmth is. Everyone's needs are important. Too hot, spread apart, fan your wings, work together, push the warm, sticky air out. Found food, do your dance, tell your friends, wiggle and waggle. What a marvelous hive, you're built together, a well-oiled machine. So that's interesting because that's like, it's the Three of Coins, but it's the card, and the poem is so much about like friendship and the people around you. It's giving me energy of the Three of Cups almost. And so I feel like this person, honestly, I think that they're able to really ground meaningful connections in their life, or they're able to ground big connections. You know, they have important people in their life, I feel like. So I think that, but again, there's like, there is a little bit of a disconnect, a little bit of a difficulty. So I think this is someone who, you know, they could want to befriend someone, and they see like the potential of this friendship. But then I think that, you know, I think that they have trouble, you know, with the action of it, you know? I think that it's confusing. So it's like the Two of Lighters, because really what it's giving me is it's giving me contradictory energies. It's giving me the energy that it's blocked, but also that it's not blocked. And so I feel like mainly what it is this person like stays in their head so much, but I think that the people around them are the type of people who are able to ground the connection for this person. So I think that this person, like, they are in their head, and I think that they are in their head about basically like all things, you know? So they'll feel things. They'll think, oh, I want to have a friendship with this person. Oh, I want to have a romantic connection with this person. Oh, maybe I even want this career or this opportunity. But I don't think they're going to put that much action into getting it. But I think that the things that they do get, they're almost like they're almost seeking out this person. So it's something like, you know, a friend who maybe they see the potential in the friendship, but they don't do anything, but another friend, like that person will actually be the one to, like, you know, spark a friendship between them. They'll be the other person will be the one to get them, you know, to hang out together and to, you know, be the one to action the friendship and to make it happen. Same thing with romantic connections. This person will just sit on the side and let the other person sort of pursue them. And that's almost how this person knows like a little bit what's meant for them. I think that this person is very open and receptive to energies. They're very much in their head. They're constantly thinking about the possibilities and the potential of things in their life, but they're not actually grounding any of it. They're not actually putting in the action to ground any of it. They're letting the things come to them. They're thinking, oh, I want this thing, but they're also thinking, I want this thing. I'm not going to do anything to get it, but if this thing comes to me, then I will know it is for me and I will, you know, go all in with it. And so I think that this, you know, whatever friend group, whatever circle this person has, they've probably had it for a very long time. They probably have a very close-knit group of friends or like a support system or like family members. I think that they've had the connections in their life that they've had for a very long time. This is not giving me flighty energy at all. I don't think that if anything, I feel like this person is like the type of person to only have had like maybe one or two romantic connections in their life, or like a few friends. Like, I don't think that they're jumping from friend group to friend group. I think that they've had the same friends for a very long time, and they have almost like their set group of friends in each circumstance. So they have their friends from childhood, they had their friends from college, they have their friends from work, and these are friends that they made maybe like first day at the job, first day at the school, first day meeting them. These are friends that they've had from the beginning that sort of just clung on to them, and they were receptive to their energy and they let it happen. So it is very, and I think that they're really, so, I mean, we have, sorry, I'm just thinking about, I forget the order of this, but I think, yeah, so it was the Page of Cups. So we have the Page of Cups. So I believe, you know, actually what I think it was the Two of Knives, and then it was clarified by the Page of Cups and the Queen of Wands. So I think the Two of Knives, that's the Two of Swords. So there's something that you can't see, something that they can't see. It says, a road splits before you, this or that, head or heart, impasse, stalemate, paralysis. What if it's possibilities, attempts to extrapolate, but who can really know the future? Mental gymnastics, you can't stay parked here forever, people have places to be. So that's beautiful because that's very much the same energy. This is someone who's, yeah, they're stuck inside their head. They're stuck thinking about the possibilities. They're in the analysis paralysis stage, but always. So they're never actually making any choice. They stay stuck, they stay confused. And so right now their energy is trying to actually get them to take meaningful action towards the things that they want, because they have, you know, a little bit of the right idea. What is meant for them will be drawn to them, but they have a very passive energy where they will really just sit back behind the two swords, watch everything unfold, and just sort of sit there and wait for the unfolding events to approach them. And so the Two of Swords clarified by the Page of Cups and also the Queen of Wands. So they're needing to they're in touch with their emotions and their emotional state, but what they're not in touch with is translating that to actions and translating that to their real life and to grounding that energy. Right now, their emotions is one part of them and their real life is another part of them. I think that they have trouble merging those two sides of them together. They're a deeply insular mental person that's in their head a lot of the time thinking about their emotional state, but then they'll go out and they'll hang out with friends, and it's a little jarring almost for them because, maybe they'll be brooding at home over, over like fatality or something, or over their like own mortality, but then they'll get a text from their friends being like, want to hang out, and then they'll go hang out with that friend and they'll just feel so weird because they're like, an hour ago I was literally just like contemplating life and death, and now here I am like getting ice cream with a friend. And so I think that they do have trouble feeling like a spiritual emotional person, as they also do very mundane things. So it's like, this person, they go out in nature and they see animals and they feel so connected to source and spirituality and their higher self. But then it's like this, if they're out on a soccer field and that's where they're going on a walk, if they just turn their head and they see little kids playing soccer, it'll almost like snap them back to reality, and it'll make them feel like, this couldn't truly be like the same mystical spiritual life and existence and realm as I was just in when I was looking at that adorable little squirrel, like, looking for its nut. It's like it's very difficult for this person to, especially ground their own mental spiritual energy with the real people around them. And so it's like this. So I think that your connection with them is going to be the first sort of outright spiritual connection. I think that it's going to be sort of the thing that helps them merge together spirituality and like real grounded things and real relationships. Because right now I feel like the relationships that they've had them for so long. I don't want to say they've had them for so long they're not spiritual, but like they've had them for so long. These are people they're so used to. It's almost like they're just an extension of their day-to-day, Not to like dehumanize these people, but if this person has like friends that they've known forever, it's basically like they're as spiritual as the microwave they've been using their whole life, That's how deep the spirituality goes with them. And not because these people they're connected to aren't spiritual, but probably just because they don't have that sort of spiritual connection with them. And maybe the people around them aren't spiritual in the way that they are. I think that actually could definitely be true. But I think that mostly the more important part is this person just doesn't feel the spirituality from these connections. And not because they're bad connections or anything, but just because the nature of these connections as being something almost too mundane to them, almost something that they're so used to. I don't want to sound offensive. I feel like this sounds a little offensive to like the pre-existing connections in this person's life. But it's mostly just to say that like your connection is going to be so deeply spiritual. It's going to help them marry their spirituality and their emotional state and their mental state with like real physical things. So they're going to see you, they're going to feel so intensely psychically drawn to you, and you are also to them. But then, and they're going to stay in their head. But then I feel like, maybe you approach them, maybe they actually decide to take the action and approach you. But I feel like most likely, I think that you guys could just sort of approach each other in a way, like, how Tinder works. It could be something like you guys both mutually express interest in the other. And I think that's going to be something new to this person. This person's normally not the one taking any action, and I think that they could be taking a little bit of action when you guys come together. But I think that for the most part, they're going to see you as someone that they're so deeply spiritually connected to. And they're going to assume that energy is going to stay in their head like it has in the past, Like whenever they've seen like an adorable little animal and they get just those like moments where they just feel like they've transcended the 3D. I don't know if you guys can relate to this at all, probably because you guys are here on a tarot channel, but there are always those moments where you just, when you're so connected to you know, the 3D reality, the beauty in this earth, that it almost helps you transcend earth itself into the 5D, you know. And those are moments where you're like looking up at the stars and you feel so beautiful in this earth's energy, but then you're like, this earth's energy is so much more than just the earth's energy. It helps you feel grounded in spirituality too. And so I think that that's what this relationship is going to be for this person. It's going to feel like them looking up at the moon and stars and feeling like, huh, look at that ethereal thing so far away. But then it's also going to be like, no, these are really moon and stars. These are actual physical objects in my vicinity that I'm familiar with and that I have a relationship with. It's not just these beautiful things that are untouchable in the sky. There are these real things that scientists know and learn about. And so that's what this relationship's going to be for them. But okay, let's talk more about other stuff. So we have the Two of Knives clarified by the Page of Cups and the Queen of Wands. So yeah, so the Queen of Wands part, they're starting to get into their action energy, you know? I think that they're starting to I think life is starting to feel stagnant enough for them. Yeah, and a car's horn just came off when I said that. I think that life is starting to be a little stagnant for them, because I feel like before, very much, life and the people around them would gravitate towards this person, but I feel like now they're trying, you know, their guides and their higher selves, and what's meant for them is to learn how to also meaningfully seek out the things that they want. So it's not just like seeing the spirituality and the beautiful, you know, spiritual connection in these things, like in a hobby or in a person or in an animal, but it's them actually, you know, seeing that beauty and then wanting to go out and interact with it, you know, like how they want to their whole lives, because they've always, you know, they've seen these beautiful things, they've seen these connections their whole life, and they've wanted to interact with it, they've wanted to have connections with these things, but I feel like they just simply, yeah, they waited until the things approached them. And so now I think that their life is stagnant enough that they're being sort of forced / pushed to go towards the things that they have an interest in themselves. And I think that that sort of helps or aids the energy of you guys coming together, because there is a little bit of, you know, they're giving more to this situation than they have given in the past. And so, yeah. So it's nice that they're coming into that. I think that it's... not to say, I don't think that they're going to completely make the only move. I think that you're also going to have to give some, but there's just an energy of them giving more to this situation than they have given in the past. But so, okay, so let's go on to these cards. So we've gotten a lot about like this person's journey, but honestly not so much about like their personality and stuff. So I know that this is a very insular person. They're pretty in their head. I'm getting a little bit of like an introvert energy from them. I feel like they have a close-knit circle of like a few people that they really trust. I don't think that they're the type of person to really just like, you know, go out, socialize all the time. I think that they like their alone time. They have their routine of things they like to do, but then also they have the things that they do like to do with other people, you know? I don't think that they're like a crazy, outgoing, super social person, but I think what they are is they're someone who has friends and they know how to have fun with those friends. And so like once a week they, you know, they go out to a park and picnic with their friends, and it's a nice vibe for them. And so we have gentle, fun, worthless, friendly. So what I'm getting from gentle is I think this person is probably a little soft-spoken. I think that may just be like an initial energy, though. I think with the people that this person's very close to, they can be very outgoing, very fun, very vocal. I think that worthless is mostly an energy of they feel worthless. I think that they'll also feel... I think that is a little bit of what bars them from truly reaching towards these things, you know? There is an energy of, you know, them sitting back and recognizing the beauty in people and things around them, but not going towards them. And there is an aspect of that being because they think, oh, what is meant for me will come to me. But I think that stems from their fear of that thing rejecting them to begin with. There's a fear of them being worthless, you know? So if there's a dream career, like, you know, maybe this person has always been so fascinated by musicians. Maybe they've always wanted to be a musician, but they never actually did anything to try and make that a reality for them, but that's just always sort of been in their head. and maybe they'll like write songs by themselves or anything, but the only way that they'd actually consider pursuing music is if someone sees them performing and encourages them and almost like forces them in that direction. They're not going to do it of their own accord, and that's because they do feel like they'll be worthless. They feel like they need someone else's validation. They need the validation of the thing that they're interested in. They need the validation that that thing is also interested in them, to give them the confidence that this is like something that is truly meant for them and something that they're worthy of. Yeah, I think that they do. They are a little, I don't want to say, I don't want to generalize so much, but I think that they are a little, they're insecure in their own energy. They don't really, yeah, they're a little afraid of rejection from other people and criticism from other people, which is very understandable, but I think that that's sort of kept them at a distance from the things that they want to pursue. They feel too scared to pursue anything themselves, so they wait until those things pursue them, because then they know, oh, okay, so they're interested in me the same way I'm interested in them. All right. Friendly, I think this person is a very friendly person. I think maybe from like external situations, or like from an outsider's perspective, maybe they don't even seem like they're into that many people. Maybe they have a very good poker face, and it's not even an intentional poker face. They just naturally have a poker face with everything. Maybe they're just not very good at looking how they feel, or the people around them aren't able to get a sense of how they feel based on how they look. So I think that, this is someone who, they look friendly, but I think that they also probably look a little detached, This is someone who, if they are like, let's use the example, this person's really interested in someone, and if they're really interested in that person, they're not really going to show it at all, and so that person would be so surprised to realize that this person is interested in them. But this person, like, they don't know that they're coming off that way. All they know is that they're not really obviously pursuing this person, but they don't know that they're seeming like they have absolutely no interest in this person. But that's how they come across. They're in a stagnant place in their life right now, because they do sort of wait back for things to come to them, and so now they're in a stagnant part of their life because many things are not coming to them. But I think that they look like they're complacent and they're content with that stagnancy. From the outside, it looks like they're completely okay with nothing going on in their life, because they go do their things, they don't really change much up, and they seem perfectly happy and content. But I think beneath the surface, they're fantasizing about these things that they feel unworthy of, basically. But then, so Grey's Anatomy, I think that that's just sort of, like the similar sort of like drama, like how Grey's Anatomy is like a very intense drama. It's like not real life at all. It's like the most insane things happen in that hospital. That's how I feel like, the distinction between the Grey's Anatomy hospital and then every other hospital in existence, the real hospitals, that is how this person feels about their inner view of the world around them versus the world around them. So this person feels like their life is like Grey's Anatomy. This person, or their inner life, is Grey's Anatomy. And so I think that that's why it's so hard for them to feel like this is a real hospital, this is a real life, these are real things, because they almost feel so dramatic. I'm not gonna lie, I think that they could feel almost a little like crazy with how deep their spirituality runs at times. I think that they could feel like, oh my gosh, why do I feel so like this deep connection to just like this adorable little squirrel right here? Why do I feel so much pure joy just from like being out on a sunny, breezy day? And so it's hard for them to think that like this is a real life, these are real valid feelings, this is not just me being crazy, this is not just me thinking this is a TV show, this is real life. So they have trouble grounding that, and you definitely help them with Googling yourself. This is funny. I feel like I think that that's them just sort of being very inquisitive of how other people view them. I think that they really do have such like their own mental insular energy. They're stuck in their mind. I think that they're very curious about how other people view them, and I think that that's something that they're very wary of. I think that they're sort of constantly, I mean, yeah, it has to go back with the worthless thing, you know? They're worried about how they seem to other people. And so I think there is while I don't think that they know how much of a poker face they have on, I think that there is some energy that they do know that they look like they care a lot less than they actually do. And that is a little bit on purpose, you know? They don't know that they look like they absolutely give no shits, but they do know that they don't look like they're as into you as they actually are, and that's just because they're very aware of how they look in front of other people. They're very aware also that their own spirituality, they feel very othered by their spirituality. They feel a little crazy. Yeah, they feel kind of like an alien, and that's what the confusion is for me. The confusion card for me is just talking about how they feel confused about, about their inner world and how they view the 3D versus what the 3D actually is. I feel like they see the other people around them taking life and taking a squirrel as just being a squirrel and thinking, oh yeah, that's just the rodent that is in our lives every day. Whereas like this person is like, no, I see that squirrel and I see it as like an adorable little person almost just trapped in a squirrel's body going about their day. And it's like they just see such intense spirituality and such like the connection between all life and everything that it just makes them feel like they just are different from other people. And I think that you're going to mirror them in their deep spirituality, and I think that your connection is, I think that's going to also help ground them and help them feel like the things in their head can be made reality and aren't just them being crazy, because I think that you're also someone who's able to see just such beauty in the mundane things. And so for practical jokes, yeah, I think this is someone, okay, so I'm not getting, like maybe they could do practical jokes, but I'm getting mostly that they're, a sarcastic person. It's silly that like the practical jokes card came out because I really feel like they are not the type of person to do practical jokes. Maybe you're the type of person to do practical jokes on them, in which case like I think that's a great idea, go for it. But I think that they're the type of person, their humor would be very dry, sarcastic humor. And I think that maybe their humor evolves into more playful humor once you get to know them better. But I think surface level, they definitely have like that sort of like dry, deadpan humor. But yeah, once again, like this could also be an energy of maybe they only have like that sort of deadpan humor on the surface, but then once you get to know them, they are such a fun, playful person. They would do practical jokes, like maybe for April Fool's Day, this person would actually like, replace your toothpaste with like some other sort of disgusting paste or something. Sundance Film Festival, yeah, I think this is an artsy person. This is someone who they love and appreciate art because it helps them feel not so alone in their own mental state. I feel like their own inner world honestly is almost like a movie or a beautiful piece of art. That's how they view it. They view their inner understanding of the world as just a piece of artwork about the world. They don't view it as the world itself, So they view it as like their own artistic rendition of the world around them. And so I feel like things like, movies, music, and TV shows, media in general, poetry, writing, books, it helps them, like those sort of things are artistic. They're viewing the world through an artistic lens, and I think that's sort of almost innately how this person views the world, through a sort of spiritually artistic lens, spiritually creative lens. And so I think this person, through movies, film, books, everything like that, I think they're able to not feel so alone because, it helps them connect to their own innate understanding of the world. It helps them feel grounded in their own mental energy. But then there's something like, the movie ends and then they're like, oh wait, no, I was just watching a movie. This wasn't me just watching real life. This was me watching a movie about real life. So actually, and so it's like the groundedness like reverses, But it still helps them. It helps them feel not alone. It helps them process their emotions and process the things around them, being able to watch movies, or read books about like beautiful mundane human experiences and understand how other people also see like the beautiful spiritual side of life, just like how they do. And so we have still being a virgin, the Amish, Moby Zoo Lion. So what this is giving me mostly is like just like the guardedness, you know, there's some sort of just guarded box around them. And especially even like with this circle and with this hand, it is like, it feels like, you know, this crow and the circle is like protecting this hand. It feels like this hand is like behind glass, that's like surrounded by this circle and everything. And so I think that they do like, yeah, they just guard their own inner states and their own emotions. And so I think that, yeah, it's going to take a little bit to get through to this person, but like they're actively going to be working on it. So I feel like, yeah, this person is a little bit, they're not emotionally closed off, but they're just not willing to you know, verbalize their emotions to the people around them because they do feel so different from the people around them. But I feel like when it comes to you, they will feel very similar to you. They will feel like this person finally understands me, finally someone understands me, and they will be able to open up to you about things. So maybe they seem like a Moby Zoo lion from the outside, but then it's actually just because they're a zoo lion who's so stuck in their head and they think that the world around them is so beautiful, but then they think that maybe actually the world around them isn't beautiful and they're just crazy for thinking it's beautiful, and they just feel so confused and alone a little bit. But then you come and you guys are, maybe you guys are a little different, but you guys have like the same spirituality, the same deep appreciation for the simple things in life. And then we have classist undertones. Classist undertones, which is just telling me that I think that there could be just maybe a little things different about you guys at first, or, you know, actually maybe this is mostly giving me that I think that there's something obviously different about you that makes them feel like you are different from other people in a similar way that they're different from other people. So this is giving me like, whereas classist undertones, that card usually tells me about like, you know, a disparity between the two energies. For me, it's telling me instead of this being a disparity between the energies of people, person 1, person 2, it's giving me as the disparity between the energies of person 1 and 2 versus the rest of the world. Very much like an us versus them energy. That's what your connection is going to have. Dropping a chandelier on your enemies and riding the rope up. Yeah, so I think that's what this is, connection is basically going to be. I feel like this person, like, you know, they've had a fulfilling life, they've had a good life, they have connections that they, with people that they trust and love. But also they definitely do have regrets. They have things that they haven't been able to do, things that they, you know, especially like a connection, things like a connection. They maybe were never in a relationship before. That could be what this is referencing. Maybe they just were never in a genuine connection before. Maybe they could quite honestly be a virgin, but they've definitely have guards up in the past when it comes to romantic relationships that stemmed from feeling worthless. And so I think that now your relationship is going to feel like riding the rope up. You know, this relationship, it's going to feel like they dropped the chandelier on the enemies, which are basically the people in the past that weren't meant for them, or the situations in the past that weren't meant for them, or even the situations in the past that they thought were meant for them, but that they weren't able to muster up the courage to go towards. They were saying, F all of that, I'm not going to have any regrets anymore because I found this person and this soulmate connection. So that's what this card is giving me. It's giving me, you know, victory energy, like, but at the very end. And so that's how this person feels. This person feels like they've gone through it a little bit with connections and stuff in their life. You know, they haven't had it the easiest because not a lot of things have come towards them, and they are definitely against going towards anything themselves. And so they do feel a little, you know, just regretful because they haven't been able to do as much as they wanted. And so then when this connection comes in, they're gonna, you know, they're gonna finally put energy and work towards you know, coming into union with you. And so they're gonna finally feel like they're able to like be this hero at the end of the movie who's able to like ride the rope up. And there's so many references to like movies and media and film in this reading. I think this person could really struggle with things like dissociation and depersonalization, where they just, yeah, they really feel like the beautiful story and interpretation of life that they have in their head is just very far from actual reality. And then Micropig wearing a tiny raincoat and booties. I think that you're just going to find this person so absolutely adorable, but then because we have taking off your shirt, they're also going to be super hot. So like, yeah, the main focus of this reading was definitely the emotional state of this person, but I think that they're going to be very physically adorable to you, but also, yeah, you're going to be very attracted to them. But that's going to be, well, I mean, I think that sex and that sort of like physical intimacy of this relationship will be very important because it's something that this person hasn't really experienced much in the past. But I think that, yeah, mostly what's going to draw you guys to each other is your just emotional connectedness, your joint sympathy and empathy, deep empathy for those around you, especially animals, children, wildlife, stuff like that, the environment. But then also, I think that you guys are just going to be straight up attracted to each other, which is just going to be like icing on the cake. And then we did have Guardian Angel here, which tells me that this is like a divinely guided union, because I think that there is an energy, you could deeply mirror them in this feeling of being so a little isolated because of your spirituality. And I think that's what it can be boiled down to. I think this person is so deeply, like, they have such an overactive, I feel like, crown chakra and third eye chakra. I feel like they're so, they could be down walking on a field, but their head is just like focused up at the sky above them. And I feel like you can mirror that energy for them. And so I think that you guys are both sort of like divinely guided towards each other to be just very nice companions for each other, because you help ground, you help make them feel not crazy, because you are almost like living proof that this dream and this fantasy and this star-like energy can be grounded in real life. And I think they could also act in a similar way for you. But pile 3, I am going to leave your reading here. Whew. If you liked this reading, it was a very nice reading, very long reading. You can like, comment, subscribe, definitely, just to keep up to date on my readings, and because I'll probably be tapping into your energy again in the future if this reading resonated. But I hope you have a nice day or night whenever you're watching this. Bye, guys.